You have the right to remain silent. Come on, we've all heard that line a million times in movies and TV shows, right? But what does it actually mean? Today, we're going to get into the right against self-incrimination. And trust me, it's way more than just a famous catchphrase. It's really all about the fundamental power balance between you and the state. So, to really get to the heart of this, let's kick things off with a pretty dramatic scenario. Imagine this. A man, completely surrounded by news cameras and city officials, publicly confesses to a terrible crime. I mean, that sounds like an open and shut case for the prosecutors, right? A total slam dunk. Well, what if I told you it's not nearly that simple?
Okay, let's dive right into this with a real case study. We're going to call the man at the center of this Ariston. And his situation, well, it puts this exact legal puzzle to the ultimate test.
I mean, just picture the scene. Ariston is there, in front of the press, the police, the town's mayor, and he just confesses to everything. He holds nothing back, and he seems genuinely full of remorse. It is a shocking, incredibly public admission of guilt. You can almost feel the weight of that moment.
Now, what makes this even more interesting is that he didn't just confess once. He actually did it twice. First, he had a private confession with the mayor, and then he did it all over again, publicly, for everyone to hear. So that leads us to the huge question. Can the justice system actually use these incredibly powerful confessions against him in court? To figure that out, we first need to understand a fundamental legal shield that protects every single one of us. It's a real cornerstone of justice systems all over the world, and it's exactly what we're here to break down today.
Okay, so here's the official definition. At its absolute core, what this means is that the government cannot force you to provide testimony that could be used to convict you of a crime. It's your right to just stay quiet when your own words could get you into trouble.
And the key word here, the one I really want you to focus on, is coercion. See, this right exists for one big reason: to stop the state, with all of its immense power, from forcing a confession out of someone. It's a vital safeguard to make sure that any admission of guilt is truly voluntary and not the result of pressure or intimidation. All right, so let's switch gears to a different case for a second to see how this all builds. This next scenario, this is what most of us probably picture when we think about the right to remain silent, that classic scene in the police station interrogation room. So let's meet William. He gets arrested and is immediately taken down to the police station. An investigator reads him his rights, you know the ones, and a lawyer is brought in for him. This whole procedure, this is the Miranda moment, and it's a formal process that kicks in the second he's in state custody.
Now here's what's so fascinating about this. The trigger for these rights is very, very specific. These warnings aren't just given out anytime someone talks to the police. No, they are legally required during what's called a custodial investigation. This isn't just a casual chat. We're talking about formal questioning that happens only after you've been deprived of your freedom.
And that right there is the crucial point. A custodial investigation happens when you are not free to just get up and leave. It's inside this high-pressure environment that the law steps in and gives you these extra protections, the Miranda warnings, to make absolutely sure you know your rights.
Okay, so if William's confession inside the police station is protected by all these specific rules, what in the world about Ariston's public confession? I mean, he wasn't in some police interrogation room. He was out in the open, standing in front of the mayor and the press.
And boom, this slide just lays it all out perfectly. It shows you the critical difference. The right against self-incrimination is a shield against the power of the state. So when you confess to the police during a custodial investigation, your Miranda rights kick in. But when you voluntarily start talking to a private citizen, like a mayor or a reporter, that's a whole different ballgame. That element of state coercion just isn't there.
And the law is actually super clear about this. The protections we've been talking about, they just don't apply to voluntary statements you make to private individuals, or confessions you give outside of a formal police interrogation. This also extends to things like administrative investigations, or even some forensic investigations.
And that brings us right back to our original question about Ariston. Because his confession was voluntary, and because it was not part of a custodial investigation, it is considered admissible evidence. He wasn't being compelled by law enforcement. He chose to speak.
So why is this distinction so incredibly important? I mean, this isn't just lawyers splitting hairs over legal technicalities. This goes right to the very heart of the relationship between a citizen and the state.
At the end of the day, this right draws a very clear line in the sand. It protects us from being forced to incriminate ourselves when we're under the immense pressure of a state-led investigation. It's all about ensuring that a confession is a product of free will, not fear.
When you strip away all the complex legal language and the different scenarios, it really all boils down to one powerful, central idea. In a criminal case, the state cannot force you to be the instrument of your own downfall.
And that leaves us with a final, really crucial question to think about. This right is absolutely fundamental, but it also creates this constant tension in our justice system. So, is it a vital shield that protects the innocent from an overreaching state? Or is it a technical loophole that sometimes lets the guilty walk free? There's no easy answer, and it's a balance every society has to constantly struggle with. What do you think?